Okay, so it's 2026, and our world is, well, it's hyperconnected. I mean, everything from our watches to our lawnmowers is online. But here's the thing. Behind all that cool convenience, there's a pretty big danger lurking. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the most shocking cyber threats targeting our everyday gadgets, and more importantly, what you can actually do about it. So first, let's just wrap our heads around the scale here. Get this. We're talking about 24 billion internet-connected devices online right now. That's almost 3 devices for every single person on Earth. Think about it. Your car, your smart fridge, that little security camera on your porch, the printer down the hall at work, they're all part of this gigantic, sprawling digital web. And that just leads to the big, glaring question, right? We've rushed to connect every part of our lives to the internet, but have we actually stopped to secure any of it? And the answer? Well, let's just say it's pretty concerning. All right, so let's dive into our first section. This explosion of connectivity hasn't just given us cool new toys, it's basically created this massive digital playground for hackers. In the cybersecurity world, they call it an attack surface, and right now it's one of the biggest and most vulnerable in history. Every single one of those 24 billion devices is like a potential backdoor for an attacker. And here's the crazy part. We're not talking about some super complex Mission Impossible style hacks. Look at this chart. The absolute biggest vulnerability, at a whopping 41%, is just weak or default passwords. Yeah, I'm talking about passwords like admin and password123. You combine that with stuff like old, unupdated software and zero encryption, and you've pretty much just left the digital front door to your life wide open with a welcome mat out. Okay, so how exactly do attackers waltz right through those open doors? Let's get into the next section and look at the actual tools of the trade. And the part that's both brilliant and kind of terrifying, it's how normal their tools look. These aren't complicated racks of servers. They're everyday objects with some hidden and extraordinary power. So let me introduce you to 2 of their favorite toys, the Wi-Fi Pineapple and the USB Rubber Ducky. The gadget on the left looks like a totally normal internet router, and the one on the right looks just like that flash drive you've got rattling around in your backpack. But in the wrong hands, these 2 little things can cause some serious, serious damage. Let's start with the Wi-Fi Pineapple. Picture this. You're at a coffee shop and you see a network called free_cafe_Wi-Fi. You connect, of course. But what you don't know is that it's a fake network set up by a pineapple. It's now sitting right in between you and the real internet, and it's just sitting there, silently grabbing everything you send over that connection. Passwords, emails, your bank info, all of it. And this is a perfect example of how they pull it off. On the right, that's the real login page you're trying to get to. On the left, that's a perfect copy, an evil portal being broadcast by the pineapple. You, thinking you're on the legit site, typing your username and password, you hit login, and bam! You've just gift-wrapped your credentials and handed them straight to the hacker. It's so simple, and it's devastatingly effective. All right, now for the USB Rubber Ducky. And honestly, this thing is just deviously clever. See, when you plug this in, the computer doesn't think it's a flash drive. No, it thinks it's a keyboard. And that lets it bypass most security because, I mean, who blocks keyboards? It can then type out thousands of pre-written keystrokes in seconds, way faster than any human ever could. So let's walk through how this would work in the real world. A super fast, 5-second data heist. Imagine someone just casually walks past your desk, plugs this thing in for literally 5 seconds, and then walks away like nothing happened. In that tiny window, the Ducky has already run a script, found every single document on your computer, copied them to its own little storage, and then cleaned up any trace it was ever there. It's a complete data heist in less time than it takes to tie your shoes. Okay, so we've seen how they can hit individual devices. But what happens when these hackers decide to think bigger, like way bigger? Well, that's when your hacked smart fridge, or yeah, even your smart lawnmower, gets drafted into a global zombie network, an army of hijacked gadgets. This, my friends, is what we call a botnet. The key thing to get here is that your one infected device is just a single foot soldier in a massive army. An attacker grabs control of hundreds, thousands, even millions of these devices, from security cameras to thermostats, and turns them all into a centrally controlled weapon, ready to launch huge coordinated attacks. And here in 2026, one of the wildest and, frankly, most bizarre botnets out there is called gay Femboy. Now, most malware, it tries to be sneaky and visible. This one, It has a huge personality. Its code is packed with quirky jokes and phrases. It literally uses meow meow as a password, and its command servers are named things like I kiss boys. But seriously, don't let the weird jokes fool you. Gay Femboy is a seriously dangerous evolution of the infamous Mirai botnet that caused so much chaos back in 2016. Mirai was a big deal, but Gay Femboy is way smarter. It uses these advanced chameleon-like tricks to hide, it'll change its own file names, it'll pretend to shut down if it thinks it's being watched, which makes it incredibly hard to find and get rid of. And get this problem is not just growing, it's exploding. As you can see from this chart, the rate of new infections is just accelerating like crazy. Just this year, in 2026, we're seeing a jump of almost 50% in devices getting roped into these digital armies. So yeah, this isn't some small niche issue. This is a threat that's growing exponentially. All right, I know, that was a whole lot of doom and gloom. But here's the good news. You are not helpless here. So let's get to maybe the most important part of this whole thing, what you can actually do to fight back. These are real, actionable steps to help protect your connected life. For your own home, it's actually the simple stuff that makes the biggest difference. First things first, change every single one of those default passwords. Seriously. Then, make sure your firmware is always updated. Next, use strong WPA3 Wi-Fi encryption. It's the latest standard. But here's a real pro tip. Set up a separate guest network just for your IoT gadgets, your speakers, your lights, your TV. That way, if one of them gets infected, it's quarantined from your really important stuff, like your laptop. Now, in an office environment, the ideas are pretty much the same, just on a much bigger scale. It all starts with knowing what you have. A full inventory of every single connected device. I mean, think about it. You can't protect that smart TV in the third-floor conference room if you don't even know it's connected to your network, right? From there, it's about adopting a zero-trust policy, which basically means you treat every device like a potential threat by default. And, of course, just like at home, strong encryption and constant updates are absolutely non-negotiable. All right, so finally, let's look to the future. Because here's the bottom line. Cybersecurity is not a set-it-and-forget-it kind of deal. It's a constant arms race. As our tech gets better and more advanced, so do the people trying to break it. And the next big frontier? Well, it's already knocking at the door. AI-powered attacks. The World Economic Forum is sounding the alarm, saying that bad actors are using AI to create smarter malware, to find security holes faster, and to launch botnet attacks that are way more coordinated than anything we've ever seen. They're literally using our own advanced tools against us. And all of this leaves us with one final, pretty big question. Look, our devices are getting smarter every single year, no doubt about it. They can automate our homes, they can drive our cars, they can connect us in amazing ways. But the real question we have to ask ourselves is, are we getting any wiser? And that, right there, is the real challenge for 2026 and beyond.